The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
We have names. We have potential names for the new Utah hockey team. But before we get to those names, I need to quickly tell you about NordVPN. NordVPN.com/Blake. In particular, specifically, that's what I need to tell you about, because that's where you need to go to get your exclusive deal where you're going to get 4 months on top of the plan you sign up with NordVPN. And the reason NordVPN is so important is because it'll protect you when you're on public Wi-Fi, when you're traveling, wherever you are on the internet. You will feel safe when you have NordVPN. But that's the reason it's really important. But for me, the reason NordVPN is important is because I can watch out-of-market games. I can click the little extension I have on the browser for NordVPN. I can change my location, and no longer will blackouts affect me because I have NordVPN. And that, for me personally, is why I like NordVPN so much. It's the number one VPN out there that you can get, and the exclusive deal for you is in the link in the description right now. Go to NordVPN.com/Blake. Get your 4 months free right now. Let's get into it. Today, the formerly Arizona Coyotes touched down in Utah. It looks like Delta, it put this whole campaign together. Delta owns the naming rights to the Delta Center where the Utah team will be playing, and they flew them out on a Delta plane. They landed in the Delta Air hangar, and once they were there, a bunch of Utah hockey fans, mainly kids who skipped school, were there waiting for the formerly Coyotes players to arrive. They signed a bunch of autographs. The scenes are beautiful. Here's the video. You can watch it on the screen. My favorite part of this video of them arriving is this one kid at the end who's holding a sign that says, "Hockey is better than school. Clayton Keller, auto." I didn't know there's a short form for autograph and you could just write auto on the sign, but that kid definitely didn't care for school today. Definitely happy that he can potentially meet Clayton Keller. Cool moment for them. Cool moment for hockey in Utah. And today, along with them all arriving, checking out the facilities, meeting fans, meeting ownership, and all that fun stuff, we got this tweet from Ryan Miller, not the former Sabres goalie, just the Utah Jazz beat writer for KSL.com, Ryan Miller, tweeted out the full list now for the Utah names. So he quote tweeted himself. Well, I should backtrack a little. The original quote tweet says, 2 more trademark applications were filed Tuesday by Ute LLC for seemingly potential team names, Utah Mammoth and Utah Ice. So this is the full list now from Ryan Miller. Utah Mammoth, Utah Ice, Utah Yetis, Utah Venom, Utah Fury, Utah Blizzard, Utah Outlaws, and Utah Hockey Club, or Utah HC. And the important thing here, what we must do today is rank them. We must rank these teams and get rid of all of these bad names and put the best one. We know what it's going to be. We know what we need at the very top of this list. Let's start at the bottom because it is fairly obvious to me what needs to sit in 8th place out of 8 amongst these 8 names, and that is the Utah Ice. Utah Ice is such a bad name. We get it. We know it's ice hockey. You don't just call the team the sport. That's ridiculous. Utah Ice is a terrible name. It doesn't mean anything. You can't just call the team the thing in the sport. Call them the Utah Pucks then. Call them the Utah Goalies. No. Utah Ice is 8th out of 8. 7th out of 8. Utah Fury. Fury, it's these next two, these 6 and 8s, they are the EA Sports create a team names that you get by default in the game. I'm gonna do them. I'm gonna share them. They're gonna get the same spotlight here. The Utah Outlaws and Utah Fury. Utah Outlaws are the 6th seed. Utah Fury are the 7th seed. Both of these teams, Fury's lower because Fury's even worse. Fury's just nothing. Fury's hey, we are a high school in any city, in any town, in any place in the world. We're the Utah Outlaws or we're the Utah Fury. That's where you're ranking. At least with Outlaws, you kind of feel like there's some sort of tie-in with them being in a landlocked place and they could have Outlaws there. So Outlaws kind of has a tie to the state of Utah, I guess. But Fury's just nothing. Fury is just as bad as Ice. It doesn't have any relation to anything that's going on here in Salt Lake City in Utah. Utah Fury 7, Utah Outlaws 8. Number 5 on our official ranking of the Utah hockey team names. Utah Blizzard. Utah Blizzard is like, all right, we're getting somewhere, but you're too close to the Colorado Avalanche. You're right there. You're next door. You just stole their name. They are the Avalanche. You are the Blizzard. You could never roll that out and just be like, yeah, thumbs up. Avalanche next door, Blizzard over here, unoriginal, bad. It works in a vacuum, but when there's a team right there called the Avalanche, you cannot be the Blizzard. That is not how this thing works. They are number 5. Number 4, the Utah Venom. We're getting close. I don't mind this name at all, but it strays a little too much, as with Outlaws, to the creative player names. Venom is you can just imagine like they're a snake logo. The snake logo is like a default Madden logo for any team you're creating in Madden. The snake logo doesn't really work in practical real life. You want to be original. You want to relate to the city. There's dangerous snakes in the state of Utah. We're getting close. But the name itself of Venom, feels too generic. We're still in the generic ballpark. Now, with number 3, we are getting something original, something that feels like Salt Lake City, something that feels like Utah. We're getting there with a scary animal, and I like it. The Utah Mammoth. If they went with the Utah Mammoth, I wouldn't be too upset. The one thing I don't like is the singular names. Like, singular names never really work for sports teams. They're like, okay, but you always want that S on the end is where the Mammoth falls just short. But if they went with the Mammoth, I would not be upset. I would say, all right, we got something here. Like, this is okay. I don't mind the Mammoth. You get a little really scary woolly animal on your front of your jersey. Your mascot's already made. You know, Mikey the Mammoth, whatever you want to call him. Mason the Mammoth. Whatever. You guys can come up with better names than I can. I'm just here to rank them. The Mammoth. I don't mind the Mammoth. Utah Mammoth. That's good. They did good. Number 2. And I guess you'll figure out number 1 by my number 2. We'll spend a little time on number 2. Utah Hockey Club, or Utah HC. I feel like I'm in the minority, but I love Utah Hockey Club. I love Utah HC. That feel of it temporarily. I don't think it'd be permanent if they went with Utah HC, if they went with Utah Hockey Club. I don't think that would be forever, but I do not mind. I actually think it's rather cool as a default for a year while you figure out your permanent name, while you do the crowd sourcing, while you do the official, let's get the marketing team on this finding of the name. While you wait for that, I think it'd be pretty darn cool if for one season, the Utah hockey team was the Utah Hockey Club. Utah HC, I loved it when Washington was the football team. When they went from the Redskins to the Commanders, they were the Washington in the NFL. If you're not familiar, the Washington football team went from the Redskins to the Commanders, and in between, they spent a little bit of time as the Washington football team. That was their name, and I think it was so cool. It was I love the soccer feel of it. Like, I love that's from football. You're taking it as that. That's where that design comes from. The moniker comes from. And I think it'd be really cool if for this first year they were known as that. And maybe it sticks. But I'm always a fan of when teams do that. They steal that from soccer. Big fan of it. And number 1, we got to all be in agreement here. You look at these 8 teams, these 8 team names. One is above and beyond the best. This is what they have to go with. It is Utah. It feels like Utah. It feels like Salt Lake City. It's original. The mascot is cool. It is intimidating. It's like nothing else like this in pro sports. The Utah Yetis. You got to put the S on that. You can't be the Utah Yeti. You're a team. You are the Yetis. You must be the Yetis. I absolutely love it. I would love to rock a Utah Yetis jersey. You do some sort of white and light blue and maybe a little black in there, a little bit of red. I'd love that. I would absolutely adore the Utah Yetis if that was their name and that's what they go with. And that is my official endorsement for the Utah hockey team that's going to be in Utah. They should be the Utah Yetis. What do you think? What is your official ranking? What is your favorite name from the list? I will run down my list one more time. Yetis, Hockey Club, Mammoth, Venom, Blizzard, Outlaws, Fury, Ice. That's 1 through 8. Let's go, Yetis. I'm sorry, Arizona. All of this talk about the new Utah team must hurt a whole bunch. But I'm pumped if they go with the Yetis. That is it for me today. Thank you for being here. Today was actually a 2-video day. If you haven't watched it or listened to it yet, I released a video earlier today about the Jays and what they have to do with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. after his incredibly poor error last night that cost them a victory. So go check out that episode when you're done this one. And don't forget, hit like on this video, hit subscribe on the Jesse Blake Sports Report channel. Give this a 5-star if you're listening to it on your favorite podcast platform. I always appreciate the reviews and the likes and the subscription. So thank you for that. Thank you for always being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you could be listening or watching this right now, and I appreciate you for that. Good night.
And that is how it's done.
The Jesse Blake Sports Report with Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake, the guy that likes to hear his name twice in one sentence. Sure, I know him. No, he doesn't have an ego at all.